A clever villager teaches a greedy king a lesson about contentment. The golden touch that wasn't. In a prosperous kingdom, there lived a king who had everything, riches, servants, and palaces, yet felt a constant emptiness in his heart. One day he declared, if I could turn anything I touch into gold, would finally be happy. Hearing this, a wandering villager requested an audience with the king. Your Majesty, the villager said, I can show you how to gain a power greater than turning things into gold. Intrigued, the king agreed to follow him for one day in disguise, leaving the palace dressed as a common man. They walked first to a modest house, where a woman baked bread while humming a tune, her children playing at her feet. There were no jewels, no decorations, just the smell of warm bread and the sound of laughter. What makes you so joyful? The king asked, surprised. The woman replied, I have enough to feed my family, a roof over our heads, and hearts that care for one another. Why should I not be joyful? Next, they visited an old craftsman mending tools in a tiny workshop. His hands were rough and his clothes simple, yet he worked with great care and a quiet smile. Do you not wish for gold and riches? The king asked. The craftsman chuckled softly. Gold cannot replace the pride I feel when my work helps others. My happiness is in what these hands create, not in what they hold. Finally, as evening approached, they came to a small hill overlooking the kingdom. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, and the city below glowed gently in the fading light. The villager turned to the king and said, Your Majesty, if everything you touched turned to gold, you could not eat, you could not embrace those you love, and you could not feel the softness of the grass or the warmth of a hand in yours. The king imagined his daughter becoming a statue of gold in his arms, his food turning into metal on his plate, his kingdom shining but lifeless. A chill ran through him. Then what is this power you promised me, greater than turning things into gold? He asked quietly. The villager answered, It is the power to see that enough is already in your hands. The power to be content turns every simple moment into something more precious than gold. The next day, the king returned to his palace with the same wealth he had before, but a changed heart. He spent more time listening to his people, sharing his riches, and finding joy in meals with his family and walks in his gardens. His servants noticed he no longer spoke of what he lacked, only of what he was grateful for. News spread that the king had become wiser and kinder, and strangely, the kingdom grew even more prosperous. Not because everything turned to gold, but because its ruler had finally learned the value of what could never be bought. Moral: the greatest treasure is not getting everything you want, but learning to value what you already have.